Hi, this is Len, and welcome to the Kindle Chronicles. This is episode 587. Today is October 30th, 2019. It's Wednesday. I usually put the show together Thursday and Friday, but we are leaving tomorrow early for Omaha, Nebraska, and then we'll be driving to Des Moines, Iowa Friday night for an event, and then spending a few days in Denver before we get back next week. So that means I haven't packed yet, and I'm putting the show together. It's 9:30. I hope I'll get it done by midnight, and I'll probably still put it up Friday so that it comes out at the normal time. What I am going to share with you this episode is my first take on the Kindle Kids edition. I got a review copy from Amazon, and I've been spending some time with it today to see what I think of it and what I can tell you about it. We will then go to a conversation that Darlene and I recorded last night. I'm going to dedicate the episode to Claire, our Yorkie, who we had to put down Thursday of last week when we were up in Maine. And so Darlene and I talked about it. You'll hear that conversation. And then I was really touched by all of you who reached out with condolences and with stories about your own pets. And it tapped quite a vein of empathy around the relationships that we have with animals. And I learned a lot from it. And I'm going to spend quite some time reading you some of the things which you sent me, and then we'll also hear a special tribute to Claire from Carson, who is the beloved Scotty of listener Mark Roberts, and also some thoughts that my friend Kess Woodward recorded up in Fairbanks. So I hope it's not a gloomy show. It's a show that is coming from a pretty deep place in Darlene's and my experience of what it's like to come home from Maine on this trip and find this big house full of the emptiness of not having our Yorkie with us anymore. With that, let's move to the Kids Kindle edition. I'll tell you about that, and you'll hear from my grandsons, Ryan and Jake. We'll start out with a little demo that I gave them of this new Kindle, and then I'll give you some further details. This is a Kindle Kids edition. Jake, you want to open it up and just pull it out and tell me what you think of it when you first see it. Ryan, what color box did it come in?
Blue.
Blue. Does it look like a pretty box?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what do you see, Jake?
A red Kindle.
A red Kindle.
What? Oh.
What do you think? Pull it out. Yeah. All right. Now tell me what it looks like when you... It's kind of stuck in that sleeve, isn't it? Want me to help it? Okay. Okay, there we are. Okay. So how does this look different than Mommy's Kindle?
Sort of the same.
Yeah? Is the cover any different? It's kind of a bright... What's on the cover? See this picture?
It looks like a forest.
Yeah? But there's a whale and a submarine?
Yeah. Can't describe. So how...
Yeah? So this tells you the books that you can have. Here, let's look at what it says on the home screen here. Wait a minute. Let me touch this here.
It had the button.
All right. What is... wait a minute. What does that say right up there in the corner?
Home.
See right there where my thumb is?
Yeah.
Jake's Kindle. So this would be like a Kindle for you. So if you want here, try tapping on that. What's the title of that book?
It's Jake's.
1001. Yeah, just tap once. Okay, let go. All right. Now,
Can you read it?
here's a joke. I'll read it for you. How do you get down from a camel?
How?
You don't. You get down from a goose. Oh, I get it.
I don't get it.
A goose has down. That's what you call the goose's feathers. And all right, see if there's anything else in here that might be interesting. What else is in the package?
Look, Grandpa, look, if I hit that, look, the words are changing.
It's because the page is changing. That's how you make it go to the next page. What is this, Ryan?
A charger.
It's a charger, yeah. That's how you get the electricity in it.
Why is it only for Jake?
Well, he's just trying it. Now you try it. You tell me what you think of it. Do you like the cover? What's on it?
Let's see what my parents said.
Okay, thanks, Jake. What color is the cover?
What?
Yeah, it's red. And it's got pictures of different stuff on it. Yeah. And then if you open it up, then you read it like that, huh? Oh, look, it changed. What's that a picture of?
A giraffe.
Yeah.
What is the picture?
I
What
don't
did it
know.
say?
It's a joke. Why do giraffes have such long necks? Because they have very smelly feet. Do you get that? I'm not sure I get that. What do you call a cat who swallows a duck? A duck-filled fatty puss. Is that funny?
Yeah.
Do you like to change the pages by touching them? Yeah.
My bracelet.
Where's your bracelet? Okay, well, so let's give the final view of this. Ryan, do you like this kid's Kindle? Would you like one of these? Yeah?
Yeah.
Why would you like it?
Because it's so awesome.
What would you, Jake? Would you like one?
Sure.
Why would you like it?
Because there's books.
There's
That's
books.
that's the whole thing about Kindles.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It has books in them. Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Grandpa, I'm trying to find that bracelet.
Oh, okay, we'll find it.
It's
That was recorded just before bedtime, so they were kind of the end of a long day, and my daughter Rue and Mike brought them over from the other yard next to ours to appear on the show, so I want to thank Ryan and Jake for that. What you heard them talking about was the cover of this Kindle. Now, this is a basic Kindle that you can buy for $90, yes, and then but if you buy it as the Kindle Kids edition, it comes with a quite attractive cover. This one that they sent me on the review copy has it's a bright red cover. When you open it, it's red, and there's a wraparound design on the front and the back. I think it's the space station cover, one of 4 that are available. It has a whale, it has a submarine, it has a fish and a dragon and a hot air balloon, and then up top there's spaceships and planets and somebody that looks kind of like an alien. So very playful, and when you pick it up, it immediately says kids. When you have the screen saver open up, you don't get any ads. There's no special offers on these, and there's just a rotation of fanciful designs that show up when the child opens up the Kindle. The setup is pretty simple. I walked through carefully to see what it would be like. And the first thing you turn it on, you get the boy under the tree. And, you know, I think at some point Amazon's going to have to change that graphic to have something, especially now that they're promoting it for kids. I think there's something quite a bit off to have the only reader on the iconic picture of the Kindle be a boy. I can't imagine that a good graphics person couldn't add, maybe on the other side of the tree there's somebody that looks like a girl, or they make it more androgynous or something. But anyway, that's probably pretty far down the list of things they've got to worry about. When you start it up, you choose the language. This would be similar to setting up any kind of a Kindle. You connect to your Wi-Fi network, then you choose your Amazon account and you connect with that. At this point, I received on the screen a message that said, "Hello, Len Edgerly, claim your 1-year Amazon Free Time Unlimited subscription." And so it's a free subscription to content that's curated for kids. And at the end of a year, unless I stop it, it'll continue for $2.99 a month. I think that's the rate because I'm a Prime member. And then once you get into the setup, you can tailor it for ages 3 to 5, 6 to 8, or 9 to 12. The next step is to set up kids' profile. So I set one up for Ryan, who is coming on 3. He'll be 4 in January. And Jake is just turned 6. Parental PIN. You set a PIN, a 4-digit code, and this enables you to control the content for the children. And it also, if you want to use a Kindle to get back to your own reading, then you'll be needing that PIN as well. There's a pretty clever way to control the content and track the reading of the kids using the book. You go to parents.amazon.com and you see all kinds of ways to control the times that the kids can read the Kindles, and you'll see what books are on there. You can move books onto it, and it's a good way to set up the parameters for the child in a way that is safe, and each parent would get to decide what kinds of choices to make, and then the child would be able to use the device pretty much on their own. It appears to me that if you want to find free time unlimited books, the only way that you can do that is on the device itself. And there you have all kinds of books that are offered, and there's about 1,000 books that you can download if you're getting this subscription. But when I called tech support, I couldn't find a way to see all of the free time content filtered by age groups on my computer. And I thought that would be a little easier because it's a little cumbersome to have to go onto the device itself. And if I was using this for my grandsons, I think I'd want to be able to see what kinds of books I could get from free time on my computer. I may have missed something, and my apologies to Amazon if I did. In any event, I did find a book for Ryan's age bracket, the younger grandson, called the Hiccupotamus. I'm not sure how to say that, by Aaron Zenz. 4.5 stars, 1,193 reviews, obviously a popular book, and I got it onto the Kindle. I was disappointed with what it looked like, and thinking about a 4-year-old's use of a book. It's black and white, of course, and the screen is kind of small. And I think for that, the younger children who aren't really reading books that have text, this Kindle is not optimal. You can get all of the free time content, including the books, and then plus movies and Audible books and all of that on a Fire tablet. And when I set up my accounts for Ryan and Jake on my Fire HD 8, brilliant colors and obviously a much better experience for them, especially the younger kids. I think that the older kids, and Jake might be starting to get into that, he just turned 6, that if someone wants to read Harry Potter, and that's one of the books that's available as part of the subscription, although it looks like it's just the first of the Harry Potter books that is included, he can change the font and have the type as big as he wants, and to have a device that really is more like a book. And you heard Jake say, well, that's what a Kindle's about. It has books. That I could see some parents and grandparents thinking, if I could interest a child in a Kindle, it's going to be a place where there isn't going to be any media involved, any movies or TV shows or games, and yet the child is going to have the experience of reading, choosing some books, and also there's the tools about the vocabulary builder and other things which point the child toward reading books through the use of the Kindle. That's pretty clearly what the purpose of this Kindle Kids Edition is, and I think it's a good effort because they're making it attractive on the cover and the software interface, and they're offering this free time content in a way that makes it pretty easy to, for $2.99 a month, or especially during this free year, there'd be a lot of content to try. Now, the way the package works is the Kindle Kids Edition is $110, and that includes a micro USB cable, not the charger. That'll cost another $20, and then it includes this free time unlimited subscription for a year. The Kindle Kids Edition also includes a very robust 2-year warranty, and about the only thing it doesn't cover is the child losing the Kindle. But any kind of a scrape or damage to it through hard use, you send it in and you get a new one, or you get it repaired. I'm not sure exactly what the essence of it is, but I'm sure that because of this warranty, you'll never have the problem of something being broken and not having it be made right again. You can set up a Kindle with 2 profiles, which I did for Ryan and Jake. I think you heard from Ryan, the younger grandson, that he wasn't that interested in a device that he would have to share with his brother. He said, how come Jake gets this and how come I can't get one? There's probably some wisdom in the way they're packaging it, that if you buy 2 of the Kindle Kids Editions, you save 25%. And I think if I was going to be doing this for my grandsons, if I get the go-ahead from my daughter Rue, I might just opt so that they each had their own and they could pick their own covers. And for kids that age to be sharing a single device and having the parent have to switch back and forth, I think that would be a little cumbersome, although you clearly could using the controls that come with it. There's something called fuzzy search. I don't know if this exists on regular Kindles as well, but if you type in a word and you don't have the spelling quite right, it will still get you where you want to go. I typed in dogs, D-O-G-Z, and that took me to Harry the Dirty Dog and a bunch of other titles, even though I had misspelled it. There are also some books that are available in Spanish that could be of interest to some people. And the word-wise definition I've talked about, and quite a suite of possibilities. All in all, I would give this Kindle Kids Edition high marks. A lot of intention went into this to help parents to point children toward reading books, and I think it's well done. It's attractive, and also because there is the Fire tablet option, there's plenty of ways to have parents make other content available that some kids might find more desirable with similar constraints that they can do through the dashboard and the parental controls. So all in all, I like the kinds of creativity and the empowering of parents to be involved in the choices that they make for their children's consumption of content, and yet giving the kids freedom of having an environment where within the walled space of it, they can make a lot of choices and a lot of discoveries on their own. As you can imagine, it's still pretty raw for us, about 5 days since we lost Claire. And I'm very appreciative to Darlene that last night she agreed to spend some time talking about it for the show, because it's hit me hard and it's hit her even harder, because the relationship that she had with Claire was the primary one, and I was with them in a supporting role. It just kind of breaks my heart to even imagine what it's been like for Darlene to lose this dog, which she brought into our lives 14 years ago. I remember the first, when she picked her up, I think she was flying out to Boston that summer, and she came off the plane with a bag with this tiny little dog in the bag, and at that time Claire could fit in one of my shoes. And then ever since then, it was just taking care of her, and just, at that point life changed, and on Thursday it changed again. So in this conversation, which we had downstairs on the couch last night, we were talking about Claire's last days, and I sort of understood that the vet had given a diagnosis that was not very hopeful, and so I began by just asking Darlene what exactly was Claire's condition that led to us deciding that it was time for quality of life reasons to take her back to the vet one last time.
So it was the heart had pushed the trachea up all the way to the spinal cord, yeah. So she was having trouble breathing at times, blacking out.
Yeah, and so the quality of life was not there. And,
right.
And it was unfortunate because you were in the middle of a quilting workshop in Portland, and I came up, and I think the next night is when we went to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, she was getting worse.
Yeah. So we're sad. It was particularly hard to come home to this house because there's her bed and there's her bowl that she would eat in, and just every room in the house has some memory of being with her, watching TV and all the things. And it was even harder than being in the cottage in Maine without her.
Yeah, it's really hard when you're not here, and I'm come home and nobody's here. I just
when you're alone in the house.
Yeah, I just want to run away.
Yeah.
So that's probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Some nights and mornings we notice it a lot.
Yeah, you wake up and she'd always lick us. There was something about the morning where she would always be licking my hand.
She'd always get in bed with us about 3 or 4 in the morning, and then she'd want to get up to go to the bathroom, so we'd have to get out of bed. And yeah, there's just always something.
Well, we're going to be flying to Omaha on Thursday, and we've always traveled with her in her little bag. And
yeah, that's true.
We won't be having that.
Yeah, it's just so strange. Very strange.
Here.
The thing is with pets, though, as they age, it happens so slowly. Somebody sent us a video of
John Aga.
when she picked a winner for something you did. It was like 6 years ago. And just seeing how lively she was in that video, it made me laugh. And I had sort of lost track of how much she'd slowed down. Not just this summer, but, in the last few years, she's just really slowed down.
Yeah, that video was hilarious because you had somehow trained her that we had a basket of about 20 names of people that were entering a sweepstakes to win a Fire tablet. And how did you get her? You had her sitting on the couch and said, stay, and then you said, go get it or something.
Go. Yeah, she had a release word. And so then she jumped down to the names, but she was actually after the treat in my hand, so we had a little bit of trouble getting her to actually take a name out of the hat.
Oh, so she was going to get a treat if she pulled the name out of the hat?
I guess, yeah, we were trying to get her to pull the name out of the hat, and then I was going to give her a treat, but that was a little bit hard to convey to a dog, but we did it.
And then she finally did.
Yeah, we thought she was going to eat it.
yeah, we had to take it out of her mouth so we could read it was John Aga.
That was funny. But she was very lively. I mean, that's what I saw, is how amazingly lively she was. So,
well, what was the story that Marie, my dad's housekeeper, ended up taking Claire when we went on a trip? And I think we got held over somewhere by bad weather.
Right. So the dog sitter couldn't watch her, and so Marie took her for a night or two. And when she brought her back to me, she laughed and she said, she's just a little Napoleon. She tells you exactly what she wants to eat and what she wants, and if you don't do it, she bops you in the back of the knee. And so she would always tease Claire about that whenever she would see her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a little bit, she said she was just so bossy. And Marie spoiled her rotten when she came back from Marie's. Then all of a sudden she wanted to sit on the top of the couch and look out the window and, all sorts of things she'd never done before. Marie and her dog had quite an effect on her.
Oh, my. Well, and she was also bossy because she always wanted you to throw a ball down the hallway in Denver. And she'd throw that ball at you when you were getting ready in the bathroom and bark at you if you didn't throw it, right?
Yeah, I got so I could do it with my toes so that I could be drying my hair in the bathroom and use my toes to flip the ball outside so she'd run get it outside the bathroom door, and then she'd bring it back and I'd flip it again. She went better with my right foot than my left, but anyway, I got some skills.
Yeah.
And, it used to be that you would throw the ball for 45 minutes before she'd get tired, and, then this last year, maybe 2 times or 3 times, and that would be it. So quite a difference.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all summer she didn't really play ball at all, really.
Yeah, I think you were more aware of how poorly she was doing this summer than I was. You were kind of surprised she made it through the summer.
I was very grateful she made it through the summer. The first time she had an episode was in June when my sister had arrived on the plane. She was happy to see Deb, and she just fell over and had a full seizure. Yeah. And and that was June. So I felt very, very grateful that we had her all summer.
I have a feeling that Maine was her favorite of the 3 places that we live in each year, Denver, Cambridge, and Maine, because she'd sit on that porch and bark at everybody that went by the street and all these big dogs, and she'd go racing down the steps, and if it weren't for the leash, she would have just been right at the throat of some Labrador retriever.
She did like the beach, yeah.
She didn't like the water, though. She didn't like to go in the ocean.
No, she just liked her porch. She liked her porch. Yeah. She could survey the people that walked by.
There was a photo in the cottage that I was looking at pretty closely that last day, and she had a little sand on her nose because I think when she was a young puppy, we'd take her out on the beach and she would dig in the sand and she'd kind of snout her nose through the sand. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she was looking for, but she'd always come up with a bunch of sand on her little black nose.
She was so small she would fit in your shoe.
Yeah.
And you did take a picture of her with the sand, and she was Miss, like, July or something. Remember that, the trainer woman that trained special needs dogs? She was doing a calendar, and Claire was, remember that? She was,
Yeah, there was that picture.
Yeah, there was that picture. So
She was Miss July, huh?
I think so.
I remember taking her on a walk down Larimer Street on sort of the rougher part of Larimer Street, and you were away, I think, and she was really young. And I'm walking this little Yorkie down the street, and this kind of tough guy, I think he was Irish, and he said something about, "Where I come from, it takes a tough man to walk a dog like that." I said, "Well, you're damn right."
And I got this black coat for her, which had like a fake fur on the hood. And you, what was it? Who did you call her? You said, "I'll never walk her in that
No, I
coat."
didn't. She looked like Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians.
That was a good coat. We still have it. You got used to her, though.
That's true.
You did good.
Well, and the other thing that was invariable was you'd be out walking her in Denver or wherever, and people would just stop, you know. There's something so kind of crazy about a dog that size.
Well, and she had great big eyes. I mean, she was a lovely dog. She was gorgeous, I mean, to the end. So I think that was nice, too. You know, people, she was small, and people always assumed she was a puppy till the last year or so, and... she was just a very intriguing little dog. I don't think I'll ever have another little friend like that draws so much attention.
Yeah, she had a presence.
She was a showstopper wherever she went. Even the week before she died, when my childhood friend was here, people would still stop, and she said, "She's just a showstopper, isn't she?" And that was like a week before she died. So, but she was much grayer and much, she wasn't quite herself.
She had that fierceness, you had a quilt where you had a lion statue, and Claire is sitting next to the lion. I think it was up in Montreal. And they have the same pose, of that fierce lion, and then this little dog sitting next to it. It was a genius quilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a fun one.
And we got one here on the wall where she's looking out at the driver's window of our old Volvo. That's a good one.
Yeah, I just imagine her talking to the police officer, saying something like, "Officer, what's the problem?" or something. She's got that look.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to miss her. She's totally irreplaceable.
Yeah. I've been touched, too, because I've had so many people email and reach out to me, offering condolences. And a lot of times they come with comments about dogs, or mainly dogs, but pets. Mary wrote to me about her cats. And just that sense of how close people get to a dog and how devastating it is when their life comes to an end. It's really it's a shared experience, and everybody I've kind of shared it with in the last 3 or 4 days, there's an instant recognition that, oh, I know what you've been through because I've been through it too.
Yeah, no, that was really true with my quilting. It was an advanced quilting collage group, and everybody in there probably had been there. Yeah. They were great support.
Yeah, we took a photo of you and Claire and all the women in the quilting group.
Yep. Just got to get through it.
Yep. It's just the passage of time. I don't think there's really anything to be done. It helps to talk about her. That's why I wanted to have this conversation about her, and I'm going to pick a nice picture of her for the show notes. The title of this episode is going to be Remembering Claire.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Well, it's hard to get your mind around the memories, but we will. I mean, we're still feeling so sad, but God, we had a lot of adventures with her. She went absolutely everywhere with us for probably 13 plus years.
Yeah.
The last year, not so much, but boy, I mean, she just was on my arm Everywhere.
I think we're going to find hundreds, maybe more photos, because all my photos go up to Amazon. And I think, I don't know exactly how they would do it, but I think if I search for Claire, it's just going to come up with hundreds of photos. And we could do like a screen slideshow on the TV here, maybe put it to some music. I was listening to
That'd be great.
Stevie Wonder, "You Are the Sunshine of My Life," and that just, some of the words of that really fit her, and make a nice music video of her.
Yeah, that'd be great. Ruth, my stepdaughter Ruth thought that she had video of Claire playing ball when Jake was a little boy.
Oh, really?
So I'm hoping I really want to see her playing ball again.
He's 6 now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you to everyone that reached out to us, and it is easier to get through a time like this when you're not alone doing it, so that was much appreciated.
It was. All the cards we've gotten, all the calls, it's really been wonderful. Thank you.
I put word out about Claire's passing on Instagram, on the new morning journal flash briefing that I'm doing for Alexa, and I guess things get out on Facebook and Twitter. So anyway, word was out, and then I mentioned it, I think in the show last week. So I've got pages that I printed out of comments that I received from you, and I'd like to share some of them, and then finish up with the audio from Mark Roberts and Kess. Mary Butash wrote on October 25th, "I am awake here at 5 a.m. in Pennsylvania listening to your morning journal. So sorry that you are facing the end of Claire's life today. I haven't had dogs, but cats, and have been in your position with many of my fur balls. Pets come into your life and become special members of your family, so the loss is tremendous as they leave. When I came home from the hospitalization for my knee replacement, all 3 cats, Danny Boy, Milo, and Tabby, never left my side except for food and litter duty. When I awaken at 3 or 4 a.m., Tabby is there right next to me as I play games on my iPad till sleep comes again. Danny is the only one that snuggles under the covers. Danny lies his head on my arms and purrs. I wish you fortitude for the job ahead and sympathy for your loss." Garrett Riley emailed me, "Len listened to your flash briefing today and was sorry to hear about Claire. She's been a fixture on TKC since the beginning, as well as a beloved member of your family. That was a nice send-off for her this morning. Best, Garrett." Garrett's longtime friend Brett McNeil texted me from the Seattle area. "Hi, Len. Sorry to hear about Claire. I know she was your faithful friend for many years." From Tony Clark, "Gosh, so sorry to hear about Claire. She's been so much a part of the family and loved by all your podcast listeners. I know you and we will remember her warmly. Best to you and Darlene." Shimon Schott from Krakow, Poland wrote, "Hi, Len. Very sorry to hear of your loss. I remember you mentioning her many times on the show. If the show had end credits, I think she'd be in them. Quote, a little dog can leave an awfully big hole in the world. R.I.P. brave soul." Very well said. I think that's what I had as the caption to several photos I put up of Claire on Instagram. On October 26th, I heard from Gary LaRue, who wrote, "I'm so sorry that you lost Claire and know how difficult that is and will be for some time. We lost Strudel, our miniature schnauzer, just a few months ago. She was 14. She had been aging gracefully. Then something debilitating happened quite suddenly. Without running extensive tests, the vet couldn't determine the cause nor prognosis, so we brought her home, made her comfortable, and watched. Within a few days, we knew the humane act was to take her back to the vet and end her life. We stayed with her through the process. Heartbreaking. I still want to call out to her when I arrive home from work." I replied to Gary and mentioned that it had been a little harsh, the environment at the vets, but that was what was available to us up in Maine. And he replied, "When we made the decision to end Strudel's life, after she had a motionless night lying on the carpet, we called someone we had heard of to see if she could come to the house. Unfortunately, she was out of town. Although she gave us several names in the Boston area, we felt it was probably unreasonable to expect someone to be available immediately, so we took Strudel to the vet. They had a room that, although Spartan, had a couch, and they were very compassionate, giving us as much time as we needed to say our goodbyes. At times, I wonder whether she would have perked up had we given her another day. Then I console myself knowing we made the best decision we could at the time, as you said. Blessings, Gary." The day after Claire was gone, as it happened, this had been scheduled prior to it, my daughter Rue dropped off her 10-year-old Labradoodle, Charlie, to stay with us at the cottage in Maine for a couple of nights. And it really made us laugh when Charlie jumped up on the bed to join us for the night, because that's what Claire always did, and she, of course, took up much less of a paw print on the bed than this big Labradoodle. My friend Betsy Johnson from Minnesota wrote, "I love that Rue gave you a loner comfort dog. How sweet it is. How sweet is that? And it is so tough because there is an emotional and physical void. There is, of course, with humans who go too, but as I type, Rufus, that's her dog, is pressed up against my leg and will stay there as long as I stay here. So there is a way that dogs are present and pressed up against us both emotionally and physically, that then creates that void when they are not. I'm glad that you have the morning journal recordings to help you talk from the heart. You've had 2 big losses recently." That's a reference to my mom's passing almost 3 months ago. And so, yes, it's hard to know how things will be different. Yesterday morning, as I walked Rufus in the still dark dawn, there was enough light to see a tree with brilliant yellow leaves that were fluttering down and landing on top of an evergreen hedge. I remember thinking to myself, if only it were that easy to let go. You might not be surprised to find out that Betsy is a very fine poet. Instagram photos of Claire's last day that I posted, plus there was a pairing of photos that really touched me, one of Darlene holding Claire that first summer, and then one very recently in the passage of time was caught in, she was holding the puppy Claire and Claire on one of her last days in a very similar way. These are some of the other comments that came in on Instagram from my son-in-law's mother in New Jersey. Really terrible to lose such a sweet companion. Grinsmore, I'm not sure who that is. 14 years, you gave her a good life. Deepest sympathies to you and Darlene. Dan, so sorry to hear. What happened? She was lucky to have such a loving home. Try to remember she couldn't have asked for a better home. My cousin Stuart in Colorado. Darn, really sorry to hear that. I know how much happiness she gave you. Love to you guys. Joe Caney emailed me, "Hi Len, I just listened to the podcast and was so sorry to hear about Claire. This image cropped up on my Twitter feed yesterday and I wanted to send it to you. With kind regards, Joe." This is a dialogue. It's kind of like cartoon panels, huberttoolcomic.com. And it's a dog speaking, and it's saying, "I wish that I could talk to you. I'd like you to know I appreciate all the things you've done for me, even this." I think this is the scene at kind of a last visit to the vet. "We've had a lot of fun, gone on many great adventures. I still remember the sunny days I felt like I could run forever. Now I'm old, I'm tired, and I hurt. It's time. I'm so glad you're here with me. I am not afraid. Scratch behind my ear where I like it, and everything will be all right. I wish that I could talk to you because I know you're sad, and I'd really love to tell you. Thanks for everything. I had a wonderful time." That's a good lead-in to a wonderful, imaginative piece that I received from my friend Mark Roberts in the Dallas area. When I knew Claire was going, I thought of Carson, who is Mark and Dina's beloved Scotty, who I have met in person because we had a rendezvous one time at South by Southwest, and we had to sit out on a pretty cold day at a coffee shop because Carson was with us, and he is a regal dog. Scotty just has quite a bearing to him. So Mark, I received in an email a letter from Carson, and it was so moving when I read it to Darlene last night that I asked if Mark might be able to read it for me. So he sent this audio, and I'd like to share it with you now.
Dear Lynn and Darlene, the Master and I listen to your podcast all the time as we drive around in my Jeep, and together we heard the sad news about Claire. The Master's eyes got very watery, and he was quiet for a long time. You humans heard a lot about these things, I think. So I decided to write you. I don't do this a lot. My paws and keyboards don't get along, but after listening, I thought you needed to hear from me. I'm sure you'll get a lot of emails and letters about Claire. Dog people all fear what you have gone through, or have gone through it themselves, and so they know you're hurt. But this email is a little different from all the rest because it's not from a human. It's from me, Carson. It's from a dog. That matters because even though I'm a Scotty, I speak Yorkie pretty well. That's why I'm writing you. I heard Claire on your morning briefing, and I want you to know what Claire was telling you that last morning. Being a dog is very different from being a human. It's kind of give and take. You learn, and your family learns. So I've taught the master and his sweet wife all kinds of things they needed to know, like any pile of blankets is my pile of blankets, and that there's no point in trying to hurry me on a walk because the Scotty dog's in charge, and we're going to take our time. And they've taught me some things too, but that's hard for me to write about because Scotties don't need anything or anybody because we are completely sovereign over all things. But I do need the master and sweet wife, and I'm not sure how that happened. Well, that was a run-on sentence, but I guess I'm still learning too. So maybe I can teach you something that will help a little if you can learn it. I wish I had got to know Claire. She really sounds like a great dog, and I am sure that helping Claire across the Rainbow Bridge was one of the hardest things you've ever done. It's really hard for humans, isn't it? But you need to understand, and Claire would want you to understand, and this is what she was trying to tell you. Us dogs depend on you humans so much. We bring the love and joy and crazy antics and wet noses to the relationship, but we're counting on you for the essentials. I can't open a can of dog food, and sometimes the master can't either. He needs Sweet Wife to run that infernal can opener. I don't know anything about something the master calls heartworms, and the medicine he gives me for it tastes awful, but I think I'd better take it or I would get very sick. When we walk sometimes, I tug the leash and want to race around the street to get the neighbor's evil cat, but the master, he holds me firmly, and then a car whooshes past. I'd get flattened if it wasn't for the master. I just need him to take care of me. I like to pretend I am independent, but I have learned I am not. I need him to provide for me, and that's what you did for Claire. There came a day when Claire needed help to rest and to not hurt and to be at peace. But she couldn't do that. Without you, it would have been so much worse. She trusted you and knew that just as you provided all she needed in life, you would help her one more time by giving her what she needed. That is what her small voice was saying that morning. She needed your help, didn't she? I'm writing you today so that when you call and she doesn't answer, and you feel like your heart will just tear in two, you can remember what a wise old Scotty told you. You needed her, but she needed you too. And you gave her what she needed the most, an honorable and dignified passage to a place where she will never hurt again. I haven't been to the Rainbow Bridge myself, of course, but among us dogs there are certain stories told again and again, and all dogs know they are true. They tell of waiting at the bridge for a day when your humans cross the bridge so you can be together again. The master knows more about this than I do, but I know I believe it, and I am sure Claire did too. May your heart be healed a little each day, but may the paw prints she left there always remain. Your friend and avid podcast listener, Carson, the Scotty dog.
Yeah, it gets me every time I hear it, and I want to thank Mark and Carson for those words. Continuing on, John Aga, I mentioned he sent this message. You posted this, the YouTube link, 9 years ago. Also, Claire picked out my name for one of your early contests. I am sorry for your loss. It is obvious she was loved and loved in return. I'll have a link to that in the show notes when Claire picked his name in the contest. Ann Schwader from Colorado wrote, "Hi Len, I know your inbox is probably filled by now, but I still wanted to send my condolences on the loss of the Yorkie Claire. She had been a bright little presence in your podcast for all the years I've been listening, I think, and I started soon after getting my Kindle too. Please know that you have given her the last gift you could and fulfilled her trust in you to always care for her. I know it doesn't feel that way now. I've made the same trip twice for 2 corgis. Wishing you peace and hearing, Anne." Facebook had a really touching flow of comments from different friends in Casper and friends in Denver. I'll just read some. The words just kind of wash over me. And Stephanie Painter, "So sad and lonely." Bruce Richardson, "Oh dear, be well." BJ Buckley, "So sorry for your loss and your sweet doggy." Susan Anderson, so sorry. I love seeing pictures of her. Karen, I'm so sorry for your loss. I remember her fondly when Michael and I visited your home in Cambridge. Ted Cooper, an old high school friend. So very sorry, Len. These guys are dearest friends. Lorraine Little, oh Len, I'm so sorry. Michael, my sincere condolences for the loss of your beloved Claire. I wish strength for you and your wife at this time. Thinking of you, this is such a hard thing. Condolences on your loss. So sorry to hear about Miss Claire. She was truly a member of the family. She couldn't have had a better life than the one y'all gave her. Mary Alice, oh no, I'm so sorry. Joan Weber, so sorry for your loss. Traveling won't be the same without her. Deb Park, oh my, this is very sad news. Claire was such a big part of your lives. Much love. Victoria Clossy from my MFA poetry program. I'm so sorry, Len. Richard Links, Catherine and I offer our condolences. Richard Askenays, really sorry to hear this. Nancy Noyes, oh, I know what sadness you and Darlene are feeling. She was such an important part of your lives. I send my love. Bern Kraftzig, Mike's father, sorry to learn. Been there a number of times and it's never easy. John, our sympathies. We just lost our 14-year-old Labradoodle and our house feels alien without her. They are truly family. Anna Edgerly, my heart is with you, always such a great loss. Katie Loss, sending you both love. Jeff Shute, sorry to hear Len, they do leave a void. Scott Monty, so sorry for your loss, Len. We have a Porky, Yorkie Pomeranian, and we love him so. I can imagine how big a loss it is. It's just wonderful to see all those words, and I'm glad I printed them all out so I kind of had them all in one place. And I want to thank everyone who reached out, and there's really support. You know, the way we mourn, I experienced that with Mom's passing, and it's triggered the sense of loss and my tears in odd moments, and having everyone at her funeral, and then having people reach out to us now with the loss of Claire. It's the human bonds and what we do for each other. You really get a feel for it at times like this. I want to conclude with an audio comment that my friend Kess Woodward, who's a fabulous painter up in Fairbanks, Alaska, left.
Oh, Lynn, when I saw on your Instagram post last Friday that Claire had passed away, before I'd even had a chance to listen to the incredibly sweet, poignant morning journal post the morning of her last day, I was so deeply sorry. I'd been thinking for some time that Claire was getting really old and worrying over what a hard thing it would be for you and Darlene. As I wrote you last Friday, it brought back to me so vividly the incredible sadness of our wonderful Springer Spaniel, Belmore's passing almost 15 years ago. It's one of my biggest bones of contention with God that dogs don't live nearly long enough. And I remember telling myself when Belmore grew old and died that I'd never get another dog until I was old enough that it had a chance to outlive me. Nevertheless, I've now lived with our wonderful puggle, Siggy, for going on a decade. And I'm thinking of that again as she still runs the trails with Dorley and me, but is going on 14 years old and is slowing down. I want to read for your podcast some lines that I sent you and Darlene the day you lost Claire. They are the opening lines from a very sweet book I read years ago called All the Dogs of My Life by Elizabeth von Arnim, and they summarize beautifully how I've always felt about dogs. Ms. von Arnim says, quote, I would like to begin with to say that though parents, husbands, children, lovers, and friends are all very well, they are not dogs. In my day and time, having been each of the above, except that instead of husbands, I was wives, I know what I'm talking about, and I am well acquainted with the ups and downs, the sometimes almost hourly ones in the thin-skinned, which seem inevitably to accompany human loves. Dogs are free from these fluctuations. Once they love steadily, unchangingly, until their last breath. That is how I like to be loved. Therefore, I will write about dogs. End of quote. I'm thinking of you and Darlene again this week, and I send my condolences and love.
There's not much more I can add to that. Thank you again to everyone who's reached out, and thank you, Claire.